Hi, friends. I hope you're having a great day so far. Welcome back to lesson 2 in our new knowledge animal habitats domain. And I wanted to start off with a habitat song that goes through 6 of the 7 habitats that we will be learning about. So let's take a listen.
Hopscotch! I am an explorer of this beautiful earth, from the jungle to the polar caps. There are so many different homes for living things, and we call them habitats. A forest is made up of trees and animals. Oxygen and water are the norm. Temperate means it goes through different seasons, and tropical means it's very wet and warm. A forest is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. Grasslands can have many titles: pampas, prairies, savannas, or steppes. And just like forests, they can be tropical or temperate. A grassland is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. Fresh water can be a marsh or river, a wetland, a swamp, or a lake. And fresh water can be ideal for insects, for beavers, and snakes. Fresh water is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. The poles include the Arctic and Antarctic. Both are very dry and cold, and animals need blubber or hibernation if they want to live around the poles. A polar biome is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. A desert's dry and doesn't have much water. Some species live by storing it inside. Some hide beneath the sand when it gets hotter, and come out in the open when it's night. A desert is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. The ocean is vast and it's all salt water, with jellyfish, whales, and sharks. From the coral reef in the shallow parts to the deep where it's always dark. The ocean is a home for living things. There are even more homes for living things. So many different homes for living things, and we call them habitats.
Oh, that was a fun song, friends. We will be listening to that one as an introductory song probably every morning to start off our lessons. I really like that one. So today our focus is going to be animals of the Arctic region. So that's the North and South poles. But I'm showing you this graphic because I'm hoping that you got a chance to fill it out yesterday. And if you didn't get a chance yesterday, take some time today and be sure that you take a picture of it and send it to me. That would be great. Right. So you are also going to see a page like this every new habitat that we have. So this is our first one. And you can either print it out or you can draw it in your journal or on a blank piece of paper. And this is a polar region. So if you picture those areas here that look like mountains, those are actually like little hills of snow and ice. And then this is all snow. And your job by the time that we're done today is to draw some of the animals and plants that might be able to live in these regions. And then I'd like you to write at least two sentences. Now, remember, two sentences does not mean two lines down here. Two sentences is two different ideas, two periods, and all that. So I want you to write something that you learned about the Arctic habitat. So that is on the website. You can print it out or you can do it in your journal or on blank paper. So we're going to start off with our vocabulary words for our read aloud today. And our first word is adapted. Adapted, and that's a verb because it's something that you can do. And adapted means when something changes over a long period of time in order to adjust to a situation. So, for instance, camels, through many years, have adjusted to living in the desert by storing water and fat in their humps. So, the camels have adapted to their environment. Our second word is burrow. This actually reminds me of Rattenborough. And this burrow is not a noun, though, although it can be a noun. It's a verb, and it means to dig a hole or tunnel. So if an animal burrows a hole in the ground, that would be our verb, burrow. Okay, our next word is exposed. And exposed means you are unprotected. So this giant sea turtle is very exposed on the sand. I bet she's going up there to lay her eggs. So she is not protected. She doesn't have any kind of covering. She is exposed, and that is a verb. Our next word is the tundra. Tundra is something that we will be learning about in our Arctic habitat. A tundra is a noun because it is a place, and a tundra is a treeless area in a very specific part of the Arctic region, and I will show you where that is. And our last word is at the very bottom, almost at the very bottom, and it is blubber. Blubber, there's our ER word again. So blubber is a noun, and it is a layer of fat, like all this fat that you see on this walrus. And some animals that live in the Arctic region have a lot of blubber underneath their skin, and it helps to keep them warm. So we're going to be learning about that too. So we have blubber as a word, and then we're going to go all the way back up to the top. Well, almost. Adapted means to change where you live. Burrow is to dig a hole or a tunnel. Exposed means you're out with no protection. And tundra is a treeless area in a very specific part of the Arctic region. So, yesterday, you guys met Rattenborough. Let me go back to a picture of Rattenborough. There he is. He was saying goodbye for the night. And I want you to think about the three things that Rattenborough let us know that all things need in order to survive. Can you tell me what those three things are? Good. Food, water, and shelter. Food, water, and shelter is what living things need in order to survive. So if we think back to Rattenborough's habitat, his habitat is under the steps in an alley, and he gets food from trash cans, and he gets his water from drains and pipes. And then I had asked you guys earlier to think about the habitat that you live in, and we're probably going to be talking about that soon. All right. So this is a map of the world, and I want you to look at the area that is highlighted in yellow. Everything that is up here, if you notice, it's not all land. There's a lot of ice there. So the Arctic region is around the North Pole, and it is not a single continent. Part of it is north of North America, part of it is north of Europe, part of it is north of Asia. So it goes all across these areas here. And this whole body of water, this water here, is the Arctic Ocean. It's the Arctic Ocean. Now, the areas of land that are up here are part of the Arctic tundra, and that was one of our vocabulary words for the day. So, today you are going to be learning about the Arctic, and you will hear about plants and animals that live in the Arctic region. And we're going to talk about plants and animals that live on land and in the water. So, your job today is to listen very carefully to find out which plants and animals live in the Arctic tundra and in the Arctic Ocean. And you're going to read about how they survive in this harsh environment. Okay, so we are going to go back to Rattenborough. Oh my gosh, there he is. So you can see that he brought his cold weather clothing with him. And if you look, this background really matches the one picture in your journal that I was pointing to a few hours ago. So these are just snow covered, ice covered hills and some snow on the ground. And it looks like this might be frozen water and chunks of ice in there. So let's hear from Rattenborough. Hello again, Rattenborough the adventurer, here to take you on a tour of one of the coldest habitats on Earth, the Arctic tundra. In the tundra, there aren't very many plants. In fact, there are no trees at all. And a rat like me has to wear long johns, which is a warm layer of clothing underneath my regular clothes. And I also have to wear mittens. The wind here is incredibly strong, which makes the air feel even colder. The ground is frozen and nearly everything is covered in ice. In the winter, daylight lasts only a few hours, and at times the sun doesn't come out at all. Some ice will still be here in the summer, but in the summer, the top layer of ice melts so that the ground gets wet and muddy. The temperatures here are so low that most people and animals would freeze. All of these things make the Arctic tundra one of the least friendly habitats on Earth for plants and animals. Give me a thumbs up if you think you would like to live here. Oh my goodness, some of you have your thumbs up. I think you're crazy. How many of you would like to visit here? Yeah, I figured as much. My thumb is up on that one too. I wouldn't mind visiting there, but it would definitely have to be during the summertime. Okay. Ooh, that's pretty. All right. Some plants and animals can only live in the Arctic tundra in the summer months when the temperature is warmer, but some are able to live there all year. Arctic plants grow very close together and they do not grow very tall, which keeps them from being blown away by the Arctic winds. The kinds of plants that can live in the Arctic tundra are mosses and different types of grasses. And for once, I'm one of the tallest things around. That's funny because Rattenborough isn't very tall. Oh my goodness, friends, what kind of animal do you think this is? Wowza. He's so big I have to shrink the screen. There we go. Wow. Kind of looks like a buffalo, doesn't he? The animals that call the Arctic tundra habitat home all year round have adapted to the harsh conditions. When an animal has adapted to a habitat, that means it has changed over the years and it now has special things that help it live in that habitat. So let's take a look at this animal. How do you think it has adapted in order to live in the harsh climate? Okay, that's good. Let's keep going to find out. Many animals in the Arctic have adapted by growing heavy fur coats. That's what some of you said. And this helps them stay warm in the cold temperatures. This creature is called a musk ox. The musk ox's long, shaggy coat has an extra layer of hair underneath that keeps him warm when the temperature is cold enough to turn a rat into a popsicle, and it sheds its extra coat of hair in the warmer summer months. What do you do to adapt when the weather outside is cold? Do you guys grow long, shaggy coats of fur? No, you don't. You have me to bug you about putting on your long winter jackets. You are right. You are right. Musk oxen travel in herds so they can huddle together for warmth. Their hooves, which are hard coverings on the animal's feet, are very wide to keep them from slipping on the snow and ice. And in the winter, musk oxen use their sharp hooves to dig under the snow to find plants to eat. Wow. So shaggy fur and hooves. All right, let's see if there's another animal. Ooh, I know this animal. Do you know this animal? That is a wolverine. And here comes Rattenborough. Oh, here comes an animal that I want to stay hidden from. This is a wolverine. Friends, do you have any idea why Rattenborough wants to stay hidden from the wolverine? Wolverines love to eat rats. The wolverine, uses its fur coat to keep nice and warm. Like the muskox, the wolverine has large paws to help it move across the snow that come in handy when it's trying to catch food. Ooh, they are very fierce. Oh, and friends, we've met these guys before. These are caribou, but does anybody else know the other name for caribou? Oh, I did hear it. They are also known as reindeer. Reindeer are caribou. These animals are called caribou, and they're part of the deer family. They're sometimes called reindeer. These caribou are traveling in a huge herd, which helps to protect them against attack from other animals. Caribou hair traps air, which helps keep these animals warm. Their hooves change depending on the time of year, so they can walk and run on mushy, wet terrain or on hard, icy terrain. Caribou also use their antlers to help them dig for grass in the snow. Wow. So they've got the hooves and the fur and the antlers, and they travel in packs. Very nice. Ooh, well, he's awfully pretty. That's an Arctic fox. This Arctic fox also has a coat that changes during the winter from a brown summer coat into this very thick white fur to help the fox blend into its surroundings. The fur covers its feet so it can walk on snow and ice. Thanks to this fox's fur, it can hide and sneak up on birds, hares, and rodents like me. So, friends, in the summertime, do you think you'll stay white? No, what color do you think you'll change into? Yeah, probably back into a black one. So that was an Arctic fox. Look at this beautiful Arctic hare. The Arctic's the Arctic hare's white coat becomes much heavier in the winter. Its ears are smaller than other hares, meaning less of its body is exposed or unprotected from the cold. And in the Arctic, any part of your body that is exposed would be cold. In other words, this is no place for critters with long, dangly ears unless they have long, dangly earmuffs to keep those ears from freezing. The hare's white coloring also helps it hide in the snow, and its back feet are wide and large, like little small snowshoes, so it can run fast in the snow. Yeah, that's pretty neat. It has its own built in snowshoes. Ah, look at Rattenborough. That's really funny. There are other kinds of habitats in the Arctic besides the tundra, and different kinds of plants and animals live in these other habitats. The Arctic Ocean is a habitat that is rich in sea life and animals that rely on the sea for their food. The water is so cold in the Arctic Ocean that most living creatures would be able to stay alive only in a few minutes if they were in that water. So I want you to take just a second and I want you to think about animals that might live in this part of the Arctic habitat. Which animals do you think might live in the Arctic Ocean? Well, we are going to come back for the next part of this video in our next lesson, and we are going to see if your predictions are correct. So I want you to make sure and fill out your living and non living paper if you haven't done that already. And you can certainly start filling out your Arctic habitat picture, but you probably won't be able to finish it tomorrow. So, for the rest of the day, have a great afternoon, friends.